It's Friday, December 14th, 2012, and let's talk about what happened this week over at XDADevelopers.com. First off, device update and ROM news. There was a lot of it, so I'm going to be condensing a lot of this together. This week, thanks to XDA forum member Rayman FX, the original ASUS Transformer TF101 now has a port of Android version 4.2.1 from the AOSP. The list of not workings is relatively small. It's like camera, Bluetooth, front-facing camera, microphone. So as long as you're not using this as a media kind of device, yeah, it's going to be okay. But for a lot of people, that's going to be a bit of a deal breaker. I don't know. On a tablet, are you really going to be using the camera? It's kind of up in the air. The HTC Evo 4G LTE received a port of Jelly Bean with Sense 4.5 on top of it. That's thanks to XDA senior member Chubbs Lou. However, the list of not workings on this one is significantly longer than most I've seen lately. And the kind of bad thing about it is it was kind of eclipsed by a later story where the Evo 4G LTE has official over-the-air Jelly Bean updates coming to it now-ish. They started rolling out on the 13th, and they were a pull kind of mechanism. They're supposed to start rolling out over the air to you without you really asking for them starting January 3rd. So if you have the Evo 4G LTE, be on the lookout for that. I don't think you have to go actually download it, but you can go into your phone and actually do an update pull that way. Definitely worth a look if you haven't looked already lately. Now, a quick run through of some CM10 and 10.1 updates. The Samsung Rugby Smart, which I've actually never heard of, received CM9 and CM10 ports this week. The LG P350 and Optimus 3D both received ports of CM10. As expected, both of these are very early. These are ports, these are not official, so there are going to be a lot of things that aren't working quite right. The lists seem relatively short though, so do make sure to read the forum to see all the specifics as usual. Also this week, an unofficial build of CM10 became available for the Amaze 4G. The title of the story actually mentions "at long last," so apparently this has been a long-awaited one. The other interesting thing about that one is it doesn't appear to have a very long list of not workings, so if you have the Amaze 4G and you've been wanting to try out Jelly Bean on it, read the forum thread. You'll probably find some interesting stuff in there. The T-Mobile and AT&T Samsung Galaxy S3s have now received unofficial ports of CM10.1. Additionally, this week, an unofficial port of CM10.1 became available for the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 10.1. Again, it's another early build. There are some things that aren't quite working right. There's some lag and there's some YouTube issues and things that are not necessarily daily driver killers, but it's still, like I said, it's kind of early. And you know how I mentioned the T-Mobile and AT&T Galaxy S3s getting unofficial ports earlier? The i9300 also received an unofficial port of CM10.1. However, its not working list is pretty decently long as well. It's a very early build as well. It was done by CodeWorkX, the same guy who did the Galaxy Tab 2 10.1 build I mentioned just a minute ago. Still being worked on, just like the other one. They will get better over time, so just be patient, please. And I think that's the majority of the updates, the ROM updates I wanted to talk about for this week. But speaking of the Galaxy S3, I mentioned I think all of the other variants except for the Verizon and Sprint ones. Well, if you have the Sprint Galaxy S3 and you want to take it to, another CDMA-based carrier, up till now you've been out of luck. However, things have changed. XDA forum member PID1981 has shared a method on the forum for how to take the Sprint Galaxy S3 and reset the SPC code to all zeros, which will allow you to take it to any other CDMA carrier, at least the ones that support the bands that it supports. So yeah, if you've got that Sprint Galaxy S3 and you're looking to take it to a different carrier, you might want to take a look at this thread. Moving right along, a couple of devices came out a little while back that actually my wife has been looking at pretty intently. That's the Nook HD and the Nook HD Plus. Didn't really make much of a splash here on XDA. I don't think I've ever talked about them before, really. However, thanks to XDA senior member Very Green, both of these devices now are rooted, and there is an unofficial, very early build of CM10 available for the HD Plus. So if you have either one of these devices and you want to root it, it's definitely worth a look. Go ahead and head on over to the forum thread for more details. Also this week, XDA forum member Avico released a root method for the Samsung Galaxy S3 Mini i8190. That's definitely a mouthful. Not terribly complicated, just involves flashing a pre-rooted Odin image to it. So again, if you have that Galaxy S3 Mini blah 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 blah, take a look at this thread, you can go ahead and get it rooted. Now moving on to some fun open source news. We've talked quite a few times in the past about AdamOutler having the Samsung Galaxy camera and all of the fun stuff that he's doing with that camera. Well, after quite a bit of work with RollecDev and Rebelos, he managed to get U-boot running on it. He managed to get SD card booting and replace the bootloader with an open source bootloader, which also allows you to run fastboot on the device. So now there are a ton more options for development for the future of the Galaxy camera and potentially for other devices, but one way or another, big step forward in terms of open source, in terms of development. thumbs up, Adam. Awesome work. And of course, Rebelosa and Ralak Dev. Now I'm going to go a little bit outside the box here, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Linux news for just a minute. If you don't know, I do a show over on my channel called This Week in Linux. It's over on twill.tv. The link is at the bottom of the video description. So I do talk about Linux a lot. I use Linux. That's running in the background there. I work with Linux. So when I see a story pop up on XDA that is talking about Linux, I feel the need to make it in the video. Well, the Linux kernel version 3.7 released recently, and one of the biggest improvements, and the big improvement that actually involves us here at XDA, is that ARM support is included native in the kernel now. The initial list of ARM devices that are supported is a bit small, a few systems on a chip and a few development boards, but there will be more and more devices being added into the kernel in the upcoming releases. And I like the way that this article ends. What does this mean for end users, you might wonder? Quicker ports of popular ROMs to Android devices, the what's not working list will shrink greatly, even for very early ports, and it should all happen at the beginning of 2013. So as soon as these devices start getting the latest, greatest version of the kernel, which at that time probably will not be the latest, greatest, but will be significantly more up-to-date than what you probably have, you will have a lot more built-in support because you'll have the full kernel with all of its built-in driver support. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that one. If you do want to see me talk about more Linux-related stuff, head on over to my channel, link at the bottom of the video description. And finally, there were 3 videos released on XDA Developer TV this week, other than the ones that I put out. Erica got around to putting out her video on the Big Android Barbecue, all of her developer interviews and her experiences there. Very interesting video to watch. If you were not able to make it to the barbecue, or actually even if you were able to be there, take a look at the video. You get your hands on with all of the developers that she got a chance to talk to, which was not a huge list of them because a lot of developers just don't want to be on camera. Either way, very interesting video and excellent work there. Adam put out a video showing the unlock method for the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 on Verizon. So if you want to know more about the Note 2 and how you can unlock it and all the fun things you can do with it, head on over to Adam's video. And TK put out another app review for an app called Silence. I'll admit, I haven't had a chance to watch this video yet because I've been swamped all day today, but from what I've read from the description, it looks like it's an app that just completely silences your phone. I'm not exactly sure how useful that is because it's pretty easy to go through the menus and just turn everything down, but maybe I've missed something about it. So do make sure to check out his video and see if this is an app that you might be interested in, or just to see how it worked out for him. Anyway, that's going to be about all from me for today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.